Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we deliver the crucial context and surprising facts you need to be thoroughly informed fast.
Today we're setting our sights on the Baltic Sea, focusing on a relatively small German city.
But one that was once one of the wealthiest and most politically powerful entities in all of Northern Europe.
Exactly.
We're diving into the history, the architecture, and the surprisingly sweet legacy of Lubeck.
And the sources we have today are fantastic. We're blending detailed architectural histories of its UNESCO status with, some really candid travel guides and deep dives into its literary heritage.
So our mission is pretty simple. We want to rapidly unpack the history of this city for you so you understand exactly how it became the capital of this ultimate medieval power alliance, the Hanseatic League.
And how that overwhelming commercial power ultimately gave way to a legacy of Nobel Prize-winning literature and, world-famous marzipan.
It's a real shift.
It is. It's a place where the past is so physically present. The sheer scale of the medieval construction tells this story of unbelievable financial success. You could literally walk the same streets where the economic policies of Northern Europe were dictated for hundreds of years.
Okay, let's unpack that central concept then, the Hanseatic League. It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel.
It does, but it was far more real and way more powerful. It was this massive historical machine.
So not a kingdom, not a nation.
No. It was a trading confederation. Essentially a super alliance of guilds and Northern European cities, mostly German, that operated from the 12th through the 16th century.
And they banded together for what? Protection?
Protection, yeah, and control, to secure trade routes, to control markets, and to protect themselves politically and militarily.
And Lubeck wasn't just a member, it was the headquarters.
It was the headquarters, the undisputed center and capital. That's where it got its nickname, the Queen City, or sometimes you'll hear Mother of the Hanse.
The level of control it had is what's so fascinating.
It really is. The League dictated prices, it regulated laws, and it held immense political leverage.
It's just hard to imagine one city having that kind of financial and political control over such a vast area. You're talking about ruling trade policies in cities like Stralsund and Bremen.
And then stretching all the way up into the Baltics.
To places like Tallinn and Riga, how did Lubeck even hold on to that power?
Well, it was a mix of geography and early institutional strength. It had the perfect location on the Trave River near the Baltic.
Giving it access to key goods.
Crucial goods, like salt and famously herring. But they also developed a really robust legal system, the Lübsches Recht.
The Lubeck Law.
Exactly. And other cities adopted it, which created this network of economic and legal dependency. Basically, if you wanted to trade in the Baltic, you played by Lubeck's rules.
And our sources really hammer this point home. This immense wealth wasn't subtle. It was poured directly into the architecture for everyone to see.
Oh, absolutely. The money did not stay hidden in vaults. It was spent on building the most monumental expression of power possible, mostly in that distinctive red brick Gothic style.
The Backstein Gothic.
That's the one. Lubeck got its famous nickname, the City of Seven Spires, because of these majestic churches that were built during this period. They just dominated the skyline, announcing the city's power to any trader sailing in.
That wealth translates to some serious scale. We're talking about the Lubeck Cathedral, St. Jacob's Church, and of course, St. Mary's Basilica.
St. Mary's is essential to understanding Lubeck's impact. It was built between 1277 and 1351, and it achieved something extraordinary for a city that wasn't, a major royal capital.
Which was?
It has the tallest brick vault in the entire world. It soars 38.5 meters high.
That is incredible. Why is that detail so important?
Because it set the standard.
Huh.
St. Mary's served as the direct prototype for about 70 other magnificent Gothic churches built across the region.
70. So just imagine, a city built on salt and herring trade was dictating the aesthetics and engineering ambition for construction across Poland, Latvia, Estonia. It's a permanent manifestation of their power, stamped across the entire Baltic.
And that influence, preserved in brick and stone, is why the whole historical heart of the city, the Old Town, has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1987.
Yeah, the Old Town, or Altstadt, is itself really uniquely situated. It's on this large, naturally defensible island, surrounded almost entirely by the Trave River and a canal. That geography was key.
Now, before we go on, we have to mention something the sources detail. The devastating 1942 bombing during World War II.
That is critical context, yeah. Our sources confirm that 1,044 buildings, so roughly 20% of the city, were destroyed. But, and this is the important part, about 1,000 historic structures survived or were only partially damaged.
And those have been meticulously restored.
Exactly, all under the UNESCO designation. So you can see the gaps for sure, but the core medieval layout is still so powerful. And when you walk into that old town today, the first landmark you see is just iconic, the Holsten Gate.
The Holsten Tor.
Yeah.
It's that imposing, unmistakable medieval portal. It stood there since 1464. It's been used all throughout German history as a symbol, too. It was on the old 50-mark note and a 2006 euro coin.
And it has that wonderful quirk.
It does.
It leans.
It leans. If you look closely, the southern tower visibly leans inward. And that wasn't a design feature, it was an engineering flaw.
Oh, really?
That was built on marshy, unstable ground. They stabilized it back in 1933. But that slight, charming tilt is still there.
And today it's a museum.
It is, dedicated entirely to the history of Lubeck's role in the Hanseatic League.
Beyond the defenses, the political heart is just as striking. The town hall, the Rathaus, it feels like a real connection to that history.
It's nearly 800 years old. And it wasn't just some local government building. This was where the most powerful Hanseatic League meetings happened, where they set tariffs and declared war.
And had massive banquets, I read.
Oh, extravagant ones. You can take a guided tour for about €2 and walk through halls that feel like a complete time warp. The original interiors are still there.
And you can also see the societal structure of the time in places like the Hospital of the Holy Spirit.
Right, the Heiligengeist Hospital. From the late 13th century. What's fascinating here is how it mixes medieval charity and economic power. It was built to care for the poor, the ill, the elderly.
But there was a catch.
A big one. Residents getting shelter and food had to pray 7 times a day for the wealthy founders who endowed the institution.
Wow. So it was a literal contract, sustenance for spiritual labor.
Pretty much. Today it still functions. It hosts Christmas markets and a museum you can enter for free.
But the real delight for visitors, and where you really feel the density of the medieval city, is what our sources call the hidden city.
Oh, this is way down off the main streets. Lubeck's Old Town is famous for its labyrinthine laneways, these narrow, dark, arched passageways you have to duck into.
I think one source said you literally have to bow to the stone ceilings.
You do. And when you emerge on the other side, you find these perfect, hidden, flower-filled courtyards that most tourists never see.
So what was their original purpose?
They were built out of necessity. Limited space on the island. So they were designed to house the working poor, orphans, widows. They created these really densely packed vertical communities. Now they're beautifully restored and highly coveted living spaces. It's a brilliant, centuries-old solution to urban density, creating these incredible, tight-knit communities right behind the grand facades.
Speaking of the wealth that built all this, Lubeck's greatest legacy is still tied to the sea.
Absolutely. The Seafarers' Quarter is still very much alive. You can see almost 24 vintage boats dating from the 1600s up to the 20th century, all anchored at the museum harbor. It's an open-air museum.
And if you want to get a taste of that history, you go to the Seafarers Guild, the Schiffergesellschaft.
That's the spot. It's a 16th century guild hall that's been operating as an iconic restaurant for centuries. They serve hearty German classics rooted in their maritime history.
Like what?
Well, you can try Labskaus, a traditional stick-to-your-ribs sailor's meal, usually corned beef, potato and onions. Or panfish, which is regional fried fish and potatoes. It's a real authentic taste of history.
So moving from commercial wealth to cultural wealth,